Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.
Hey. Drew Stone.
Are we rolling already?
Legendary. Fuck yeah,
Really?
dude. Yeah, we're going. That's how we do it.
Oh, okay. Oh, good.
We're already into it.
No shit.
We're talking about your dad and Mel Brooks.
And I'm like, yeah.
I love those fucking shoes, by the way.
What was it?
Are those Doc? What are those?
Yeah, these are Doc Martens.
I'm gonna get some Doc Martens.
Oxblood Doc Martens.
I'm gonna get some.
Listen, I got lucky, man. They sponsored one of my films. So they were like, hey,
Nice.
pick whatever you want out of the catalog. I'm like, okay, how about this, and this?
When you get endorsed by a company, you can go pretty buck wild. I find you can go buck wild.
Bucky
sometimes.
buck, bro. That's when you
Bro.
go. That's when you go for it. You know.
I have a whole storage room full of Godin guitars, for instance. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
If anybody wants to buy a Godin, I got one for
I got
you.
a closet full of Doc Martens shit.
Yeah, no, I gotta get. I decided recently I'm gonna get some combat boots because it feels like combat time, and
Yeah.
also I like the fashion.
Combat is always in fashion, right?
Yeah, that's good.
There's always some chaos or drama or war going on.
I love that. Combat is always in fashion.
It kind of is combat rock, right?
Yeah, combat rock.
We did that Clash thing together, right?
Yeah,
We did a couple of them.
Yeah.
The
The 2 years in a row.
Right. Did you do the one in L.A. at the Roxy?
I think so.
No, you did the Bowery one.
But I did one in L.A. at the
Oh, you
Roxy
did?
as
Oh,
well.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I
I
didn't
did-
know
I don't know
that.
if it was Clash. I think it was.
Yeah, we did. I
Yeah.
seem to remember that.
Yeah.
Gates of the West.
What did you do? What song did you do? I don't even remember what song I did. by the way.
I did Safe European Home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Did you ever meet Joe Strummer?
No.
Yeah, I got a chance to.
No, but I got a great Clash story.
Well, go for it.
Okay, it's I've talked about this before, and I guess it ties into probably later on. But in 1981, when I was in Boston, going to Emerson College and studying acting, I fell in with some hardcore kids, and I was part of that original Boston skinhead crew. And the Clash were playing the Orpheum one night.
Which is a small theater for those
It's
who
like
don't know.
it's like the Beacon Theater here in New York. You know, every city has one, right? It's like we're not playing the Enormo Dome. We're playing the
3,500.
the old ratty theater, right? So we go down, me and some of my juvenile delinquent skinhead punk friends, and we're hanging out in front, and it was long sold out. Boston's a college town, so whenever back then when like a band like that would come to town, forget it. It was like so many college kids. So we just thought, hey, it's a Saturday night, we'll hang out, so maybe we can sneak in or something, So we're hanging out outside, and everybody goes in, and there's me and whatever, 7 or 8, 9, 10 of my scumbag friends, and I say that with love, and we're out there, and the music's starting, and we hear them playing London Calling, and we're like, fuck, and there's no way to sneak in, and then all of a sudden, their road manager Cosimo Vinyl, who was sort of almost like in the band, he looked like he was in the band, He comes out and he's like, what are you lot doing out here? And we were just like, yo, we can't get tickets. We don't have money. We can't get in. He's like, what? He's like, come with me. And takes 10 of us up to the front door. And he launches into this tirade to the people running the place that these are the people that should be in the show. These are the real Clash fans here. These are the people that should be in the show. And if you don't let them in, I'm pulling the band off the stage right now. And we were like, wow, And he insisted on getting us all in, 10 of us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was incredible. And and what always resonated from me about that was the Joe Strummer thing that, without people, you're nothing.
Right.
And that I always carried that with me, so whenever I do film screenings or, gigs, I always take a quick peek outside before it goes down. And whoever's just sort of loitering out there, who's obviously can't afford to get in, I make it my business to get him in.
That's good.
Yeah.
What a treat. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
These are the people that should be in here.
Yeah.
They're out there every night. Anyone got a free ticket? Anyone got an extra?
Anybody got
Yeah.
I need a miracle, right?
What was that happened?
Oh, I was trying to flip the phase, but
But
it's
we
fine.
did-
No,
we-
we didn't lose anything.
Okay,
That
good.
was my
okay.
bad.
Okay, good.
The phase.
That's cool. That's a good story. Yeah, they stand for that sort of for the people thing.
Yeah. They were an important band. I loved that band.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were one of my favorites.
Yeah, and Joe Strummer came from like sort of upper middle class, right?
Yeah, apparently so. And he was, he was around before the Clash. He was in the 101ers, and they sort of had like a little bit of a, I don't want to say hippy dippy history, but
Yeah. I smoked my first spliff with him.
is that right?
That's right.
Spliff as in
Tobacco
grass
and,
and tobacco?
hash mixed.
Yeah.
I never seen anybody mix tobacco and hash until I was hanging out with him.
I could never handle that.
Because I was from Ohio, and then we never did that. Like we
Right.
just smoked pure weed, and then and
As
I was
one should.
when I was in England for the first time. He happened to be at Peter Gabriel's studio, and so he was like rolling one of those up with his friends, and I was like sitting there with him, going, "What the fuck are they doing?" I didn't know, I didn't ask, but when it went around, I smoked it.
Could you smoke it?
I did.
Are you a cigarette smoker?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I never smoked cigarettes.
Right.
So I always had a hard, like I never could smoke it, like with the tobacco in it. It was too much for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I really like that whole tobacco weed mix. Unfortunately.
It's disgusting.
In Israel,
I wish I
they
thought it was
smoke
disgusting.
Hash. They smoke hash.
Right.
Everything
I
with
wish.
cigarette tobacco, and you can't. For anyone who doesn't smoke cigarettes, it's just impossible.
Well, that's the whole blunt. The blunt theory is that you're rolling the weed in a tobacco leaf,
Right.
and that's so it's kind of a reverse spliff
That's about as far as I went when I was smoking. Is
with
like
a blunt.
with the tobacco. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't smoked in a decade already.
Oh, really?
It's been a long time.
No weed?
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing.
I need to quit again.
I just knocked it. I just knocked it off, man.
Yeah.
It's been 12 years now.
right.
I don't drink. I don't drug. I don't smoke.
Total sobriety.
Listen, I did enough drugs for everybody in my
Yeah.
time. I just
Yeah.
it just ran its course for me. And I grew up here in New York City.
Yeah.
So kind of like where I grew up, and when I was around, in a lot of ways, like a bag of dope was cheaper than a bag of reefer. You know what I mean? And so it was like there was a lot of that around.
Right.
And I was around for like crack epidemics and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, ugh.
Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Forest Hills,
Oh, okay.
which is where the Ramones are from,
Yeah.
and I lived in Manhattan, and then I lived in the Spite and Dival section of the Bronx. I went to JFK High School in the Bronx.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, and as a teenager growing up in the Bronx back then, it was interesting. It was an interesting time. I grew up in an interesting time in New York City. It was sort of like I was part of sort of the blank generation. I wasn't here and I wasn't there. We were sort of like we were after the '60s thing, and we weren't MTV kids. Sort of in this weird sort of vacuum of a couple years there, growing up in New York in the '70s. And it was an interesting time. New York was a scary place, and just finding our way then. But one interesting thing that came up recently about that is so I grew up in the Bronx. I went to JFK High School, and for some reason, where I lived in the Bronx, Southern rock was huge.
That's unexpected.
We were talking about this recently, and I'm not just talking about because where I grew up was really multi-ethnic, So it was like black kids, Puerto Rican kids, Southern rock.
That's funny as hell.
Was the biggest thing, and we'd be in the park with boom boxes listening to like Southern rock, like.
That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
That's so funny.
I know. So weird.
That somebody should put that in a film.
I'm working on
That's
it.
That's a good scene. Did you have siblings?
Yes, I have a younger brother and a younger sister, and my brother now is a filmmaker out in he lives in Hollywood, and he has a show. He's a cinematographer on a show called Expedition Unknown,
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, on the Discovery Channel, where they go. Josh
Yeah.
Josh Gates is the host, and they go all over the planet, like looking for we're looking for the lost Nazi gold, and then we're looking for the chupacabra or whatever, or
Yeah, kind of like the thing Geraldo Rivera started with the whole Al Capone's tomb and whatever it
whatever
was.
crock of shit that was.
That was mainstream television.
That was a big deal, man.
That was a big deal, and it was empty, right?
It was it was like a safe.
I missed that.
You don't remember that?
No,
Oh,
no,
dude,
no,
it
it
was
was-
huge.
it was-
like Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
What year are we talking
Like an
about?
Oprah hosted
It was
it
like
or
late
some
70s.
shit.
No, what was it, like 80s, 90s?
I was elsewhere.
No,
You
no,
were in
no.
Israel.
The Al Capone used to frequent this hotel. He owned like part of it or something, and they found the safe in the basement.
Here
Right.
in New York or where?
No,
in
it was like in Chicago or something,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I thought it was Miami, maybe, or Chicago, or something
yeah.
like that. And so the big reveal was going to happen after the
Live
Super
on
Bowl.
television.
Live on
They're
television.
gonna open it.
And they opened it. There was nothing in it.
Nothing in it. You'd think they would like, which is kind of impressive because that
Like a
means
national site. Oh,
Yeah, it was like,
no, it was a national sigh. Exactly, well put. That was like, it's like you would think they would just like. It's kind of like makes it cool because it means they were credible. It means they didn't like fucking
plant
front load
something
it.
in there.
Like it was legit. They were
Yeah.
really going for it.
It was
So in
legit.
a way, you gotta like
But may-
appreciate
but-
it.
but maybe it wasn't. Maybe they actually looked. It was like, shit, there's nothing in it, and said, well, what are we gonna do now? I guess we
Right.
got to roll with it. You
Yeah,
know?
that's true.
Somebody put a few dollars in
That's
there.
funny. So you got two. So you're the oldest of three. And were your folks together, or did they split?
No,
or?
my folks split when I was 9.
9.
So I grew up in a single parent home. But
Right.
my dad was
With your mom or your
with
dad?
my mom.
Oh, okay.
But my dad was always around.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, no, my dad grew up not far from here in an orphanage.
Wow.
In the Lower East Side.
Interesting.
Yeah. So he grew up in an orphanage, and he ended up in an orphanage when he was a kid. His mother was sick with tuberculosis and couldn't take care of him, and they ended up in an orphanage here.
Wow.
My dad met his brother in the orphanage, like was introduced to a kid with the same last name.
That's funny.
And that's that was his brother. And my dad grew up in
People used to grow up hardcore.
What?
People used to
Introduced
go.
somebody
People
just
used to go.
Oh, that's
Yeah, but my dad grew up in the Israel Orphanage Asylum on Houston Street. So my dad grew up and then got out of there and was in the Army and then found his way into the film business.
How
And
do you do that?
He got a job running as like a messenger. Like remember when they would have boxing matches, they'd shoot them on film,
Mm-hmm.
and after each round they would download the film and give it to a messenger, and the messenger would run it to the lab. So my dad's first job was like running
One of
film
those.
to the lab, and then just like one thing led to the other.
What a cool way to get in the film business. Like that's really like ground floor.
Well, back then, the film business was very nepotistic. You know, it was like you had to know somebody.
Right.
It's not like now, New York School of Film, study to be, a like fuck that. That didn't exist. You had to know somebody. It was like a fiefdom, It was like very difficult to get into the film business,
Right.
So, yeah, so he made his way into the film business, and I think that because of my dad's upbringing and his father walked out on the family, and like when times got tough, my dad, even though my parents split, my dad was always around.
That's nice.
And still is.
That's cool.
Yeah,
And
he's a big part of my life and my brother's life, and
Is he supportive of your films and your work?
absolutely.
Yeah.
We're doing a new film together. He's the executive producer on a film that we were just shooting in the Middle East.
The Jews and the Blues?
The Jews and the Blues. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's.
That's an interesting concept.
It is. It is. I wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
After doing the Michael Alago film and the New
I
York.
love that. I watched that
Oh,
last night.
We both watched it
Oh,
last night.
dude, we were like, I forget. Did
Yeah,
I text you or
I
did
was
you?
texting you.
You text me. I go, yeah, I'm watching the Michael Alago film right now. I love this guy. I'm like
You
on.
said on Rob Zombie. and
I'm
I was
right
like,
on.
so
I'm
am
right
I.
at Rob Zombie, and he goes, "So am I." We're total kismet on that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
But Yeah.
Really well done.
Thanks.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, it's called
It's called Who the
fuck is this guy?
Who the fuck is that guy? The
Oh.
Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago.
Right.
And it's been very successful. It did very well on Netflix.
It
And,
makes sense.
Yeah, it did
it's
well.
on Amazon
It's a great,
Prime. If
great
anybody
character
wants to
study.
watch it.
You don't need to know who that guy is.
Well, I think going into that film, I have a belief that films, you need in a certain regard. What's the bigger picture? And as far as the Alago film goes, the film. Yeah, it's about the guy who signed Metallica and stuff like that. But the bigger picture, which is the grander appeal, is it's just about someone that loves music, and that's what really spoke to me. And just like
and loves life, loves life.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah, he's
Just a guy who loves life and it also is fucked up enough to be interesting. You know what I mean?
He's a character.
Yeah.
I mean, there's other similar films about people that did similar things, but he's a character.
Yeah.
And he's great on camera, and he just has an incredible story. I mean,
Yeah, when I say fucked up too, I don't mean it as an insult. I mean
No.
I actually mean it as a compliment. I just mean interesting and gone through some shit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Listen, a gay Hispanic kid who grew up in a Hasidic neighborhood in Brooklyn, who
Yeah.
went on to change the face of the music business.
Yeah,
I
and
mean-
grew up in like the
Yeah.
80s New York gay scene. Like, no, I'm just saying that's
No, it's
interesting.
true. No.
That's fodder for interesting
Yeah,
film.
the telephone's ringing.
I mean, that was great.
wild.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Wild.
Well,
Yeah. So just
I
so
never
like
knew
people,
that
so
was a
people know,
thing.
like back in the day, like in cruising areas, there would be some payphones ringing. You'd answer the phone and look up at a window, and some dude would be jerking off and invite you up. If
Well,
you like,
I remember
that's
this.
a way that they would cruise.
I remember this. I grew up in New York, so phones would be ringing.
I didn't know.
Oh
that.
yeah, man.
That's funny
Just
as
like
hell.
like Ditto, Ditto, like Ditto says in the film. Ditto, right? He's he says in the film. Oh, now I know. What?
Oh,
it-
right.
yeah.
Now I know what that meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'd be like a teenager in New York, and phones, pay phones would be ringing, and you pick it up,
Yeah.
and you'd be like, what do you do? What are you
Right.
wearing? What are you doing?
What's up?
Where are you?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
It was-
I mean, it's the same thing with apps now, though. There was just like a prelude to apps, basically.
That was a start.
But
But
the Alago thing, it was great. It was a great ride, and a lot of the artists that he signed, Metallica, Rob Zombie, Cyndi Lauper, blah 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 blah, that are in the film, really opened up the doors.
they love that guy.
Yeah, they love him.
They all love
Johnny Lydon.
By the way, I've never seen him like that before.
That's my bro.
That was one of the most.
That's my dude.
You could tell
Yeah, that's
because
my dude.
I've never seen him. Like I've just never seen. I'm a fan of him. I'm
Yeah.
a fan of his personality, even when he's being a dick. Maybe especially when he is. But like, he was a genuinely nice character in that film.
Yeah,
Like 100%. Like just a softie almost.
he's
you
a
know?
great guy.
Yeah,
He
you could
is.
see it in that. You could see
he's
it.
I love that guy, and,
Yeah.
and I really connect with him. And I have a belief that what it is that usually like the BBC sends down some 21-year-old girl to like ask him questions about Sid Vicious, and he's
Yeah.
just sick of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's just fucking sick
Well,
of it.
it's the same thing, like, because I used to, like, kick it with Lou Reed, and it was the same thing. He had the worst reputation for that,
Right.
but it was just, like, sick of the...
Enough already.
Enough of that bullshit. If you approached him differently,
Yeah.
from a different perspective, he was, like, the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, and John, I remember, was living in New York, and I'd see him around.
Right.
So, immediately, we're connecting on old New York, and
Where would you see him?
Well, he lived on the West Side, and I dated a girl whose father was
Is this a Coke thing?
no, that's,
Dude, he's wiping his nose
like-
for the
it's-
listeners.
it's
like in a cokey way or something.
It's like
I don't know.
it's a gangster thing.
It's a gangster
and
thing or something.
was
I don't know.
was a co-owner of
Does that mean gangster?
It was like, oh, okay.
a crooked nose.
Oh, crooked nose. Okay, I get it.
Was a co-owner of a club called Kamikaze.
Oh, okay.
And I used to spend some time down there, and he lived right around there.
And you would just see him.
I'd see him, and so
And you would I'd be blown away if I met him. Like, were you like blown away or what? Like,
immediately we just connected, and just had a great time.
Just
you want to hear
vibes.
the great? I got the great John Lydon story.
Okay.
So we're in L.A. And we're getting ready to. The next day we're going to interview Lydon, and already like I know he has a reputation of just destroying interviewers. I'm looking online. I'm thinking, oh fuck, So I say to Alago, yo, call him, ask him if he wants us to bring anything, right? So we're in a restaurant. Alago calls him and speaks to his man Rambo. His like personal assistant, John's person.
No, John Rambo. Never mind.
Yeah, John. And
Exactly.
Yeah.
John Lydon's.
Just because we mentioned.
Rambo's been
today
coming
we
up a
talked
lot.
about-
Is he?
We talked about
First
the
Blood.
whole premise of First Blood today.
Oh, I love that.
Sorry.
movie.
Yeah, of course. That's an aside. We can talk about. We'll go into Rambo later, but keep with this story.
So John Lydon has his childhood friend, I think John Rambo, who grew up in the projects with him.
Yeah.
And that's the only person he really trusts to handle his affairs. So we call. Alago's talking to Rambo. I ask him if you bring and you hear Lydon in the background says, "Yeah, a case of Corona, a bottle of this tequila with the worm in it, right?
Mezcal.
Whatever that is, the big
Yeah.
And-
I don't know what this called. I
yeah,
forget,
and
with the worm in it.
and
Get some Patron at least. Jesus, what are you in high school?
He's got a rider for
It's
interviews.
like that's some high school
right.
shit.
A
Get
case-
the one with the worm in
a case of Corona. At least he's keeping it Mexican, right? A
Yeah.
case of Corona.
Yeah.
The
some nachos.
right.
And a fucking enchilada.
the tequila with the worm and a case of Marlboro.
Right. He smokes cigs. I noticed that.
And a case of Marlboro, right? So we show up, and we show up early in the morning in Malibu, right? He lives in Malibu, and I got the case of Corona in the bottle, and we knock on.
It's like this too. It's like you live in Malibu, you can't afford your own fucking booze, John. No, I'm just whatever.
Wait.
I'm
let
joking.
me finish, let me
but go
finish
ahead.
the story.
Okay, go
Let me finish the story. So we show up in the morning with this shit, knock on a door. He answers the door, and he looks at, hey, what's up? Hey. And he says, oh, you took me seriously. I was only kidding. But we
Right.
all know damn well. It's
Yeah.
like the Van Halen brown M&Ms.
Right.
If we would have
If
blinked,
you didn't do it.
why the fuck should I give a fuck if you don't give a fuck?
Right.
That's what it was. It like the brown M&Ms Van
Right.
Halen thing. So
Yeah.
You brought up Van Halen. There's
That's
a
so
photo.
funny.
There's a photo of Alago with David Lee Roth.
Oh, God.
Where's the cross? Where did that happen?
well, that's just because David Lee Roth, back then was hanging out
In
a
New York?
in a lot of gay, clubs.
He
and,
was.
like I think that was
Was this pre Van Halen being huge
oh
or
no, that was.
Did he swing both ways, David Lee Roth?
Listen, it's not for me to say. Whatever.
Oh, really?
Whatever David Lee Roth.
No judgment, by the
But
way.
we used to see him out all the time.
Really?
In after hours place, like Save the Robots.
Right.
He was.
he lived in New York?
No, but he'd be out, and he was a big pot smoker.
Hmm.
We used to smoke. Hey, yo, what's up? He got busted for
Right,
buying
and
a
he
nickel.
blamed it on his girl.
He got busted buying
in
a
Washington
nickel bag.
Square Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
I
Then
don't.
yeah.
No, that was Billy Idol that blamed his girl.
I think David Lee Roth did too. I'm pretty sure.
That's why it's good to have a girl around you could blame.
Yeah.
She was her.
It was her.
The Alago thing. What fascinated me was the early days at Max's.
Yeah.
Were you there at the time? And
No.
or that's pre you.
No,
going to
Alago in a certain way is like a generation above me.
that? Okay.
He's not much older than me, but he was at a very young age.
He was already involved.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my generation, like I was too young. I never got in with like that Max's crowd. I came into it a little bit later, and punk and that stuff, Patti Smith and Blondie, that was never my thing. I went from Southern rock to Minor Threat, Black Flag, American hardcore. That was my gateway, and then from there kind of went backwards. I took a weird sort of jump.
How'd you meet Michael Alago?
Well, just like it is in the beginning of the film, when I say, and I quote, I used to go out every night
Yeah.
in New York City, and whether I was, at the Cat Club or CB's or backstage at the Garden, I just kept seeing the same fucking guy over and over again. And I'd be like, who the fuck is that guy?
Right.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
And also, like, you know, who's that, like, little gay guy in this super, like, homophobic, you know,
aggro scene. And running it, basically, kind
and
of.
just being fabulous.
Yeah.
You know?
With his
Yeah.
all access Lammy.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So
And-
so I was always like, who the fuck is that? And then oh yeah, that's Michael Alago. He signed Metallica. Okay, cool. And then when I really became connected with him is I was managing bands in the 90s, and I was managing a New York hardcore band called Sub-Zero. And they were signed to Century Media, and I know I sing in a band called Antidote, one of the original New York hardcore bands, which was formed when Arthur Googie left the Misfits. So when I first joined Antidote, you know, we used to rehearse at the Misfits place, and we were friends with those guys. I've been friends with those guys a long time. So I was managing Sub-Zero, and that's when the Misfits got back together with another singer, with Michael Graves singing. And I called my friend Jerry Only, and I said, yo, I'm managing this band. They got some tours to, you know, and to his credit, I got to say, Jerry was like, fuck, Drew Stone, anything for you, Drew Stone. And he took, you know, my little New York hardcore band that I was managing and got them on the first ever Misfits European tour. And so I go out on that tour, and on that tour, Michael Alago was there for a while because he signed the Misfits to Geffen. That was the deal. He signed them to Geffen at the record that Daniel Ray produced, American Psycho. So Michael was still drinking back. This was 97. And my guys were drinkers and brawlers. And there was a lot of fights. And Alago was in the mix.
He would fight.
Yo, Alago's no joke.
Yeah.
Alago can scrap.
Yeah.
And they were
I guess so. It kind of goes into that in the
You have to.
documentary.
Yeah, and my guys would just be like getting into shit, like, you know, fucking, like, you know, Milan, you know, Italy, like, wow, bro, and like Alago was in the mix, and you know how it is when you're on the road with a bunch of people, you bond, and especially when you're in Europe and you're taking those ferries.
Yeah.
You know how it goes.
Yeah,
And-
you're day drinking in a ferry with a ferry.
So that's when I first really connected with him.
Wait, so
Yeah.
you knew the Misfits when Glenn was there?
Oh yeah, we played. I played.
Wow.
Before
How was that whole scene?
It was interesting. I mean, before I was in Antidote, I was in a band called The High and the Mighty, and we opened for the Misfits in Boston, and the swirling sands of time, what people don't realize is back then nobody gave a shit about the Misfits.
Right.
I saw the Misfits here at Gildersleeves, and it was half full, and people were just like, "You suck," and like more so than not, nobody gave a
Yet
shit.
they had so much influence. How did that happen?
They were just unique. Why did the Ramones have so much influence? They were unique.
But they had success.
That's interesting what you just said. Unique.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, isn't it?
man.
And that is so true.
Did the Ramones have success? In what regard?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
No?
No.
Dude, I mean,
because you're looking at, you have the perspective now looking
Well,
back.
like
Yeah.
90.
I mean,
in
bro,
the 90s,
I saw them in the 90s at the Masquerade in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh man.
I mean,
I know that
and
place.
that's a big club. I mean,
Upstate-
but
yeah.
that's not like
No, they didn't
fucking-
play the
that's
Garden.
not killing it, dude.
Right.
Like especially
Yeah.
for a band that defined a generation, you know, and defined a genre.
Yeah.
You know, like playing at the Masquerade, it's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, I would love it, you know, but at the same time, it ain't massive. It ain't Justin Bieber numbers.
They never went over the top.
Right.
And they struggled. They
struggled.
They
yeah.
struggled for years, and they
never didn't struggle.
They always
Let's put it that
you
way.
always kind of felt like every record they were just trying to like break through.
Yeah.
And listen, the big one. What was the one with the
Phil
end of the
Spector?
century? Thank you.
Yeah.
And they certainly, you know, they gave it a shot. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
No, they rocked it.
But
We had Monty on, and he
Yeah.
spoke about that album, how who didn't like it? Joey loved the album.
Johnny.
Johnny
maybe
hated
didn't
it.
like it.
Yeah.
Dee Dee hated it. Probably. He
Yeah,
hated
maybe.
Dee Dee hated everything.
That's funny. Did you know him?
Yeah.
What was he like?
A little unstable,
Yeah.
but a great guy.
But the best people are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A great guy, but
Yeah.
just you don't know what you're gonna get, you know.
Yeah.
You never know. But the Misfits thing, once again, They were unique. And, I've talked about this on the show that I do. It's like Kiss. So many kids were influenced by Kiss.
Right.
Because when you're young and you're a kid, you don't understand music. What you understand is the visual. You understand the icon,
But great rock and roll songs too, undeniable. Like great rock and roll song after great rock and roll song.
Same with Misfits.
I mean,
great kind of punk anthems.
Yeah.
And same with the Ramones, and same with the Misfits.
But they all had all had the visual thing down too.
Yeah, for sure.
So a strong visual definition.
The Misfits back then were like our Kiss.
Yeah.
The Misfits were like our Kiss, like us hardcore kids. We loved them, and they were they created the roadmap.
Yeah.
Because before then, bands it didn't exist. Like make your own shirts, make your own records, book your own tours.
Yeah.
Them and Black Flag. They create
where they'd call people up to try to book shows.
We used to do and one time Chuck Dukowski from Black Flag gave us I was part of this Boston clique and gave us because everybody had these credit card numbers these he had like Exxon's credit card number to make long distance calls and he gave it to us, man, and we danced on that for like months.
Wow.
They didn't figure that out, but that's how.
I wonder what the statute of limitations is on that. We might have to edit that part out of the podcast. How did you get into singing?
Well, I was studying acting. I as a teenager, I did theater. I did plays and West Side Story and things like that. And I went to Emerson to be the next the next James Dean. I kind of showed up there, and I really thought it was going to be easy. I was pretty undisciplined as a teenager, and coming from New York to Boston, and I kind of got up there, and immediately sort of school was difficult. And then right as soon as I got there,
what do you mean it was difficult?
Well, as soon as I got there, I ended up at my first hardcore show.
Oh,
and
so you couldn't focus because you found a passion.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah,
yeah, that's good.
Thank you.
That's good. It just wasn't what you thought it was gonna be.
Nailed it.
Right.
Yeah, it just was like, woo!
Right.
And
so what was it about hardcore that swept you up and took you away from something awesome like acting?
It was young kids my age.
Yeah,
and there was a sense. It was
family,
community, and culture.
Yeah,
it's community and culture, and that's
it's a heavy community. That's even your hardcore film. I didn't see the whole thing of that yet, but the part of it too is just this whole thing of just this is for life.
Yeah, and it's a big bonding thing. It's interesting. Hardcore and New York hardcore. New York hardcore is interesting. It is sort of become. It has stood the test of time, and it's very community.
Why do you think that it stood the test of time? What do you think of it as powerful?
I think New York hardcore was slow in sort of you have DC hardcore right. You have the California stuff. The Dead Kennedys and Black Flag, and they came out of the box first. Then you had the DC and the Boston thing and
Bad Brains.
Yeah, well, New York eventually kind of got rolling, but. Talk to the DC guys, and they're sort of like, "Yeah, I did that, and I moved on." Yeah, I was, we had our, you're still doing that hardcore thing, sort of, you have people that sort of, yeah, I did it for a couple years, and I moved on.
Mm-hmm.
In New York, people kind of stuck with it, and there was other continuous waves of New York hardcore, and for instance, in the early '90s, you had bands like Madball and a whole new slew of bands that came in and just really kind of created this timeline. And like you said, it's for life. Yeah, people come and go. I mean, that's in some regard. But New York is really become synonymous with New York hardcore. And for me, when I went to my first hardcore show, there was 15, 20 kids there in an art space. And when the band was done, they took off their, I remember the guitar player took off his guitar and approached me, and they just wanted to know who I was. It was a new face. That was,
why are you here?
Why are you here? and who are you?
Right.
And, but not in a non-threatening way,
Right.
you know. And they were kids my age, so I fell in with this crew early on. And listen, with hardcore, it's like, you know, whoever has the biggest mouth ends up being the singer.
Right.
You know, whoever has the most to say.
Yeah.
And then, you know, everything falls in behind that, you know.
Yeah.
And I ended up, you know, having a little band up in Boston and being a part of that, then coming back to New York and a couple other bands. And what happened with me was, for me, job always meant something in the film business. Working in a movie equipment rental house, doing deliveries, picking up equipment. I learned at a young age, I learned how to fix movie lights and stuff like that. And I learned how to drive big trucks at a young age, like 15, 16, I could drive, you know, really big trucks and jockey them around the yard to load them up with film equipment and stuff like that. So job always meant something in the film business to me. And when I was at a certain point, when I was in the High and the Mighty, playing all these CBGB's matinees with all kinds of bands, from, you know, Agnostic Front to the Cro-Mags to Murphy's Law to just, you know. And at the time, I was a stage manager on a film stage on the West Side. And my boss said, hey, anytime you rent any of the film equipment outside the building, I'll split it with you. So I did a few little gigs. My brother would come to town. I'd load up my van. And I got a couple of bucks, and I created my film production company, Stone Films NYC. You know, got a lawyer and started. And then at a certain point, people started asking me, because this was the golden age of music videos. You know, everybody, you know, and hey, Drew, you know about this kind. Hey, you know,
Because MTV was the fucking internet. It was like that. That was the whole gatekeeper. Like, if you could get on MTV, that was the end. You won.
And then, so I'm working in this film stage
Yeah.
where, like, you know, Salt and Pepper, Shoop Shoop, and you know, Big Daddy Kane, and you know, all these videos are coming through. At the same time, I have, you know, bands that are sort of, you know, that I know from playing, asking me, you know, can you do a video for us? And one of the bands that I played with was the Cro-Mags. And Paris Mayhew, the guitar player.
You were in the Cro-Mags at one point?
No.
Oh,
I was in the High and the Mighty.
Okay.
And
They played shows.
We
with the
played
Cro-Mags.
shows with the Cro-Mags. And as a matter of fact, we, interestingly enough, the High and the Mighty played a show. We were just talking about this a while back. We played the first Cro-Mag show, and Jesse Malin was on that bill too. It was the last last ever Heart Attack show. Was the first Cro-Mag show, and the High and the Mighty was on the bill. We were just sort of bantering about that the other day.
That's funny.
Yeah. It was 1980, I think 84, 83, 84. And so what happened was, so Paris Mayhew was studying to be a cameraman and going to the new school. And he approached me and said, hey, this band asked me to do a music video for them. Do you want to produce it? And it was right. It was all synchronicity. It was like right at that moment, I had enough money to get the insurance policy that you need to do business. You know, to rent. You have to have $1 million insurance policy in New York City to rent cameras. Excuse me, and to get a permit from the mayor's office. He approaches me right at that moment. I make the first payment. I get the insurance. The band was Biohazard, and we did the Biohazard Punishment video.
Wow.
Which blew up on Headbangers Ball,
Which was huge.
Yeah,
We
and-
used to fucking stay up in Ohio and just wait for Headbangers Ball
I used to
come
tape
on.
it and watch it the next day.
No, it was like that was like the show to watch every week.
It was great. It
Ricky Rackman.
That's right. That's right.
It was fucking awesome.
Ricky Rackman.
And then 120 minutes.
Yeah,
Remember that
120
too?
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Ricky
Yeah.
Rackman was a huge proponent of Biohazard. He loved Biohazard, and so that video. I don't know the punishment video. I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about. Where we're coming across the Brooklyn Bridge and is all that. It was really great, and it screened on Headbangers Ball 14 weeks in a row.
Wow.
And so then what happened after that?
Power of video.
Yeah, man. And then what happened after that was Biohazard was managed by Rush Management, which was one of Russell Simmons' company. Rush Management also had another group called Onyx.
Did you fuck with Run DMC at all too?
We're getting to that.
Okay, good. yeah. Okay.
We're getting to that.
Yeah.
So Biohazard's managed by Rush Management. Rush Management also has a group called Onyx. Onyx has a song called Slam. Somebody had enough sense to say, let's get the Rock and Roll White Boys to do our video.
Right.
We do the Onyx Slam video, it goes to #1 on MTV.
Wow.
And then the phone just goes up.
And you're producing these?
These I was producing.
Right.
These I was producing. And then phone starts ringing. Run DMC, great. Typo Negative, sure. King's X, bet. You know,
I love King's X.
Then we did the Dogman video.
Fuck.
So that just started, and then eventually me and Paris split, and then I just continued on as a director, and did, you know, Agnostic Front, Gotta Go, and et cetera, et cetera.
What DMC one did you do?
Ooh, what you gonna do? Never let a punk get away with murder. Gunshots, gunshots, all you heard. What's up? What's up? Yeah.
He sat right there 2 days ago.
Oh yeah, Daryl did.
Daryl did.
Daryl's cool.
Daryl's so cool. I was just at B&H.
Yeah, beards and hats.
I just said beards and hats.
Beards and hats.
And I was
other
waiting
area.
in line in the used department, and fucking this dude was like, "I'm confused. Is this where you going?" And he was a cool dude. He looked cool. He had like tattoos all over the place. Black dude. And he goes, "Yeah, I got a podcast." And I go, "Me too, man." I go, "I just had a DMC on mine." And he goes, "Me too, dude."
Really?
He had him. We both showed pictures. We were both. How fucking
What
crazy
was his name?
Bryce. Shout out Bryce. What is his podcast? Like,
What's his
Let me see
podcast?
his podcast.
He probably
Hold
from
up.
our podcast went to his.
Shouting out Bryce.
Shout out Bryce.
He was probably a
whatever,
half hour
from
late
B&H.
because we took
Beards and hats.
Shout out Bryce from Beards and Hats. I don't know. I'm not gonna look that up right now.
That's funny.
But so you're like becoming a successful. Then you're like a huge, like that's pretty big baller type shit for that day and age,
big
right?
money
I mean,
back then too.
Well,
on
yes and
TV.
yes and no. Yes and no.
And how old are you at this point? Like young still.
No. This
You're
was
still young, so you must have been young then.
all right.
You look
I mean, dude,
37.
you don't,
Thanks.
you don't look. I mean, whatever. I think I'm young, and I'm almost 50. So
Yeah, I mean, it was a great run.
Right.
It was an exciting, vibrant time.
Yeah.
To be doing music videos.
Yeah, no, that's the time to
It was
do
the
it.
golden age.
Yeah.
And even besides that, I worked on Eric B. and Rakim.
Fuck,
You know,
that's
Follow the
amazing.
Leader and the Microphone Fiend. Girls Just Want to Have Fun because when I
Cyndi Lauper.
yeah when
Oh,
I
yeah, she was in the movie.
yeah
Yeah,
she was great.
yeah, she is
cool.
great. She doesn't age.
Love her.
Listen,
She's ageless.
I'll take she looks like $1 million in that film.
She looks great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I lit that.
yeah. No, she does. She look.
The pressure was on, yo. The
looks-
pressure was on.
Yeah,
Her people called me, and
No, they take it seriously.
and you know what I remember? Because I worked on a set with
And
Madonna.
you had to pay for it too, probably, right? The hair and makeup.
I don't remember.
That's how it
but
usually works.
yeah, probably. But I worked on a set with Madonna once, and I remembered how uptight they were about lighting her, and I remember how they lit her. You know,
that's cool.
A certain way, you don't shoot a woman like that from
From under.
You do not. And
I have a funny Cyndi Lauper story about that.
So I remembered that, and I lit that accordingly. And when she sat down and her people came and put they looked, took one look and like, yeah. And she looks great in it.
Yeah, she does.
She looks good.
She looks really
She
good.
was cool.
Yeah.
She played Barry Electric with Hollis Brown for this Underwater Sunshine Fest
What was that?
2 years ago, and I was in the front taking photos, and I was below her, and she's singing the song, and mid-song she looks at me, she's like, "Honey, don't shoot me from under there."
Oh,
like
see?
literally.
So there you go.
And I was so embarrassed. Like she literally like
There you go.
mid-song, "Honey, not from down there."
Right? There you go.
Yeah, they don't like that. I don't mind that angle on myself.
No, but it
personally.
was
I know
like,
that's
I
bad
remember,
angle. Everyone says
Dude,
that.
Cyndi Lauper
but, like,
stops the show to tell you, "Honey, not from
Yeah,
down
no,
there."
you better ramp up your
funny.
game, son.
She crushed it,
That's
and this was
funny.
2 years ago.
Yeah,
Crushed it.
she's great. But you know, when I said back then, job always meant something in the film business. I was a production assistant when I was a teenager, working on
With your dad?
no freelance, just trying to working on just trying to
But did he get you into the film business or something? Or?
No,
No.
well, I mean, like I started out in a film equipment rental house,
Right.
and I was PAs, they needed PAs.
That's so much like your
Yeah.
dad.
Yeah.
in a way. Like he started out running the film, and then you started out in an equipment rental house.
Well,
it's like
I started out at,
it's a similar
18,
trajectory.
19 years old, doing deliveries in the van and just,
Yeah.
and then people are doing shoots and they need PAs and you start PAing and then you're like, fuck this, I need to, and then I was a boom guy for a while and then this shit happened. This production company thing happened and that got rolling and, that went on for a couple years and then, that led into I had a whole career doing extreme sports films, and then eventually I made my way to music documentaries.
Oh, okay. So like when you do extreme sports films, are you using GoPros and shit like that?
Or
was that before
was
GoPro?
before. It was before.
Yeah.
I did all the urban street bike warrior films, all the motorcycle stuff, and there were no GoPros. I was on the back of fucking motorcycles,
Right.
with my feet on the
No
back
gimbals,
pegs,
nothing,
bro. With my fucking feet on the pegs, with one hand on the shoulder and one hand in the eyepiece.
That's wild.
I
Now they can do it with just a GoPro sticking
Pussy
onto
shit.
the fucking.
That's such pussy shit now. Fuck that. But I saw a lot of doing those urban street bike warrior films. Like I saw a lot of people get hurt, and it just it started to have an effect on me. I just couldn't. I got burnt out on it.
Right.
Yeah, I saw people get smoked, man. I just couldn't. I did 9 films in 7 years.
Just like documenting extreme sports.
Oh, I did the Urban Street Bike Warrior series of films.
Okay. What's
like,
an urban street bike warrior?
Well, I'll tell you. If you remember when before this thing called YouTube, you had to buy a DVD, and for these sort of extreme sports, motorcycle extreme films, you'd have to buy it in a motorcycle shop, and
isn't that fucking so funny? Nowadays, you can just get anything you want on your phone.
I killed it for many years. I did really well until that came in. But I don't know if you ever hear Krusty Demons of Dirt. No. Okay, so Urban Street Bike Warriors series is a film series I started that documented the street bike scene. People in the streets riding, Japanese bikes and doing stunts. Kind of what started as a street thing. I documented the whole thing from the start of it as a street thing through the years to it almost being an international competition. So I took that ride and I was there right at that. I was there. And I also directed the MTV True Life series. The episode I Live to Ride, which was basically about the street bike stuff. So I traveled around the world doing that and did a bunch of films, urban street bike warrior films for a couple of years. But what happened was the DVD market collapsed in the end. The DVD market collapsed, and then, there's the wave goes in and the wave goes out, right?
Did you embrace YouTube?
YouTube killed me.
Yeah, but did you embrace it?
Now I do.
Now you do, yeah. How long?
As you do.
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, it's like I love it. I want to vlog. I want to do all kinds of shit. I have ambitions in my head about it.
I see your stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do more. I feel like I want to just amp it up.
Man.
I like it. I'm inspired by it. Or do you like it or do you hate it? Like vlogging and all that kind of shit. What do you think about it?
I'm super fortunate right now.
Yeah.
I have a show that I'm doing.
Hardcore Chronicles.
The New York Hardcore Chronicles live.
Right.
And I started it literally the day I woke up once this COVID thing started. I
Right.
it was like March 9th.
Yeah.
I woke up and I was like, okay, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
I figured this thing out right away. Someone had me on their show and I saw the platform they were doing it on, and it just seemed, I just put it together really fast and I launched it. The show was an immediate success. It's got sponsors. And it has a worldwide audience, like you said, hardcore worldwide audience. And on the platform that I do it on, there's a chat room, so it's live. So what they've done is they've created a community in this chat room now. Like my fucking show is almost like
The side show.
sidebar.
Right.
All these people from around the world come on, which is friggin' great.
That's the key right there.
Come on to my show, and
That's
they're bullshitting. I
Just
see
to
what
talk,
they're
to
doing.
use the chat.
They're talking about some bullshit,
Yeah.
and I'm here interviewing fucking Stigma or Don Airy from Deep Purple.
Is
you
it
know?
like a podcast? Is it like what is
Similar
it?
to what we're doing here?
Right.
It's live, 2 hours, but
Oh, but you do it live.
I do it live.
See,
But it archives after.
Right, of course.
It's
of course, but you get like there's a ridiculous more amount of viewers you get when you go live for some reason. And he's tapping into what it is. It's
Right,
it's because people like they want a community, and it enables. No, it's absolutely true,
listen,
dude.
I've seen his stuff. I
It's
know.
absolutely true. It enables
it
people
first-
to
you
come
saw it
together and have community and talk. And so what it does is it brings more people into your realm. I've been trying to convince Ehud we should do this live, but he's not having it.
Well,
because I'm a stickler for quality.
I know you are.
I'm not gonna say
I just
that.
worked with him, and I just worked with him, and I gotta say, man, he really, he really did an incredible job.
No, he's amazing.
Yeah, man.
I
I
mean,
can't front, man. That thing that we did together, people love it.
Yeah.
You did a great job, and you friggin' switched on the fly.
Yeah, live.
You did a great job,
Eight
man.
cameras.
But we should go live. But so go ahead, explain why did you decide to do that? How did you decide to go live?
I'll tell you what happened for me was that I went on someone else's show.
Yeah.
And he said, well, will you subscribe to my YouTube page? I need subscribers. So I look on his YouTube page, and he's got like a couple hundred subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think to myself, well, fuck, my Stone Films NYC page has like almost 10,000 subscribers.
Right.
And then
I know I have almost that much
We
too.
have
that doesn't
I know,
translate into views,
and
though.
it doesn't. But if you start going into it, go ahead, talk. Sorry.
And then the other thing, this platform that I do, the other thing is that it also streams live onto Facebook.
Right.
So he tells me, oh, yeah, it streams live onto Facebook.
So he had a couple hundred, and you're thinking, fuck, I have nearly 10,000.
On YouTube.
On YouTube.
On Facebook, on
Yeah.
the New York Hardcore Chronicles page, which I've been having for years, which is tied into my film, there's 90,000.
Right. So you're like, why am I not taking advantage of this?
Fuck this.
that's
I'm starting a show
right.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I know.
I'll
we
just
should
say,
do,
I'll
we
just
should do the
say
same
about
thing.
him,
So
but he knows like that 100 people that could come on the show that from the hardcore scene. And in COVID times, that was key because we haven't stopped at all in COVID, and we had an episode for every
week.
Every week.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah.
Every week
How
for
many
the
do you
last
have a week? Sorry.
for the last year and a half. But during these COVID times, because I refuse to do it remotely because of quality, it's been a struggle to find people who will come and sit down in
physically
person.
come down.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
I've been like trying to be like, dude, let's do it remotely. Who cares? Like we can like let some of that go. Like we can open it up, and he just won't do it. So it's
No,
like,
but there's an inherent charm to
And
this.
it's like-
You can't get.
No.
I can't look in your eyes
I
on
like
a
this.
Zoom
I
call.
like it. I
I
like
like
it
this,
too. But
you know?
like so. But so you go live. You do it once a week or twice a week, or
Originally, when in the heat of the battle, I was doing it 4 times a week.
well, you went in.
Like I went in deep. Like.
But that's why you got the success,
yeah.
probably.
And now I backed off. It's twice a week.
That's
now.
cool.
It's
We
tw-
started
that's-
twice a week.
Yeah, it's
That's
Now we're
still
down to
good.
one.
That's still a
It's-
clip,
it's-
and you're doing it the whole thing, editing, and or
man.
do you do it like with a road caster thing on the
No,
fly,
I do
or
it on a laptop, bro.
on a laptop, and do like camera angles or just
No,
one
single
camera?
Zoom chat.
Well, it's
Oh,
like,
it's a Zoom
It's
chat.
not Zoom. It's not Zoom,
Some
but
other
it's
company.
something similar
Yeah.
to Zoom.
Oh, okay, so
But-
it's all phone. It's all over. It's all like
Yeah, but
So it's
also
not
but
personal.
also I have the ability to show photos and videos.
Yeah.
And so somebody says, "Hey,
Yeah.
I open the show
That's
with
cool.
someone's new
It
video."
mirrors your laptop.
And I do my homework, man.
I want to learn that.
I do
thing,
my
too.
homework, bro.
Yeah. How'd you learn that?
I went on someone's show and I saw it. And I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
But you got the gear to like, oh, I know how to show a video when I'm doing.
There's no gear. You fucking go on the platform and you fucking figure it out.
You figure it
You
out.
watch my show.
Yeah.
I'll talk you through it. I'll explain to you how to do
Okay.
it. It's easy, bro.
It's
I mean, it's
easy.
not easy. It's a little
But-
stressful, but
But you learn it, and then you learn it, and then you know it.
I think part of the inherent charm of my show is it's like, it's like, and this is what's great about hardcore. You could always fall back on this. Is like, hey, it's hardcore. It's
Right.
DIY.
Yeah.
It's like it's not.
Yeah.
But that's what I love about YouTube and the internet in general is there is that lo-fi DIY thing. Telling the story is the most important thing.
Absolutely. And the thing that I sort of stepped in this unbeknownst is that my show's at 3:00 in the afternoon. I didn't realize it at the time, but that's prime time in Europe. So I start doing my show, and there's droves of European people from all over the world watching the show. Just by chance, because I decided to do it at 3. And so for a while, the majority of the people are European. And for a minute there, I mean, it's calmed down a bit. For a minute there, my show was doing like live 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 people a show.
That's incredible.
That's a lot. But you had fantastic guests too. You got to give yourself some credit on that.
Well,
that's awesome.
all those years of managing bands, doing music videos, doing the New York Hardcore Chronicles film, playing in bands, connecting with people.
Didn't you tour manage as well for a second?
Tour managed, man. I fucking tour managed.
Biohazard?
Biohazard, man. Like in the
because they're the
How was that? What was that
They were
like?
one of the major bands that crossed over and became huge. Like
a lot of girls, a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Fights.
great.
Yeah. Girls and fights.
Yeah. No, I mean, just for some reason, Biohazard, like you wouldn't think, like a lot of girls love that band. So it was a lot of girls and a lot of, but it was that sort of era.
And a lot of angry boyfriends.
You know what it was though? It was that era. It was in music where, which and I've said recently, like I'm just glad we're past that. Remember that era where guys were like wearing like sports jerseys and like it was like that tough guy thing. Like everybody's a tough guy. It's like now everybody's like everybody's half a sissy. You know, but that era was everybody's a tough guy. And like every time you go out, it's just like oh fuck, man.
Yeah. What do you think about New York right now? What do you think it's gonna make it through this crazy shit, or what do you think?
Well, I love New York.
Me too, dude.
I'm a New Yorker, and and I listen. I live in a rent-controlled apartment in New York. I ain't going anywhere.
In Manhattan?
Oh yeah.
Wow, nice. Which neighborhood?
In the Upper West Side.
Nice.
wow, there's still rent-controlled apartments up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and listen, it's fucked up, but the wave goes in and the wave goes out, and I can't. I can't wrap my head around that, but it seems like it's going to take a while.
Yeah. Well,
this isn't going to like turn on a dime.
It just seems like they're just not going to let it open back up. I mean, like they're like when de Blasio yesterday cancels Thanksgiving parades 2 months out. It's like, okay, dude, like for one.
Is that right? I didn't know he did that.
He did that. And it's like, you don't need to do that. That's still 2 months away. But what you're doing is you're telling us all, don't get any hope that in 2 months anything will change, because we're planning on keeping this shit shut the fuck down. And it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like people are just going to ultimately have to rebel if they want anything close to normalcy back, because I don't think the powers that be are ever going to allow it to return to anything feasible.
The dangerous thing, I think, that's sort of what's happened here. There's a couple of real dangerous things, but even in my neighborhood in the Upper West Side, de Blasio dumped in 400 homeless people into hotels. Now, I'm not saying, not my neighborhood, but, anything in moderation is okay.
Right.
But 400 people flooded the neighborhood.
It's cartoonishly, it's a joke.
Right.
Like all the steps they've taken. Let's empty out Rikers Island. Let's close everything down. Let's let's not let anything happen. And let's
the perfect storm.
I wonder what's gonna happen here. I mean,
but what's happened in my neighborhood is people have said, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Right.
And a lot of people leaving my neighborhood in droves.
Right.
Now, I know my dad's down in Florida, and my ex-wife just bought a house down there, and I was with her looking at houses because we're on good terms and everything.
Nice.
And the realtor was saying down there, I can't sell them fast enough. everyone's coming down here from New York.
Yeah, no inventory.
She couldn't buy a house. She could not buy a house until everything was in place, ready to go, and she could go look at a house the day it went on the market and it could go, I want it, I got it.
Put
like
a down payment and lock
like
it
you
in.
had to be like literally right there.
Same thing's
Right.
going on in New Jersey. There's no inventory.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at RVs. I'm not even joking. I'm not joking. I'm looking at RVs because I just want like a bug out. I just want a bug out. What I'm afraid of, because actually New York's been a vibe this last couple weeks. I enjoy the city. I love it. I got this going on. I got a art show on West 10th Street. I like my apartment still, this, that, the other. But once winter hits, when they shut it back down, if they do, like, what are you going to do? Just sit in your apartment, like, or go outside in the freezing cold? Like,
Yeah.
It's like, I want to be able to be like, you know what? I'm going to take my RV and go to Baja, or something for a couple months.
Yeah, it should be interesting. An interesting winter here,
Yeah.
We just played a benefit
Sunday matinee.
We did a Sunday matinee in the Bowery to benefit
Save Our Stages,
Bowery Electric.
Right.
And usually it's a 50-50 split. We told Jesse and them we don't want any money. We
Right.
want to contribute it all to Bowery Electric.
Right.
And because and especially for us in the hardcore community, Niagara,
Yeah.
it is the birth.
A7.
It is the birthplace of New York hardcore.
Right.
This is hallowed ground for us.
Yeah.
Like we can't lose that place.
Yeah, that's true.
We'll throw bricks, man. We're not going to lose that place.
I personally feel like rebellion is going to be needed to save the stages. Otherwise, I don't think the powers that be are going to green light, get back to it. I think people are going to have to go rogue. But you know what I mean? And I think in mass numbers, people are going to have to go rogue to get any semblance of sanity in this situation.
I do, and I agree with you to a certain extent. And I have a theory that, you know what? Let it all fucking burn down. Because in the end, when there's a rebirth, if there's a demand for it, new places will be created.
I believe that. I'm not in despair about any of this shit. I mean, to me, like as an artist, as a creator, as somebody who's like, I thrive in times like these.
That's
I'm
right.
thriving now. I haven't
right.
stopped thriving.
That's right.
I'm having fun. I'm
right.
sad for others. I'm sad for the state of the city. I'm not sad for myself. I'm not in despair for myself. But like, I definitely, so if it wants to burn all the way down, I'll be in an RV in Baja for a second, just like, playing a bongo
This is a form
drum.
of rebellion too. We kept pushing.
Yeah.
And we're doing things.
Yeah.
And we're doing live stream shows from the Bowery, and
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not giving up.
No, that's
and
true.
And it is a form of rebellion.
It
We're not
What
like
scares me, though-
hurting anyone, but we're not saying we're gonna give up and not do anything.
Just thinking, okay, yeah.
What scares me is that everything's so polarized right now.
Right.
And like out in the street, even coming here right now,
Yeah.
there's a scary vibe out there,
There's
man.
a vibe.
There's a vibe,
Always,
man.
yeah.
There's a vibe.
I haven't personally felt that.
I have.
I really?
Oh, yeah.
I haven't felt that.
I have.
I don't know.
I just hope.
But I definitely feel a vibe in terms of like home, like more on an economic
Oh, yeah, for
divide,
sure.
like
For sure.
the wildness of the energy of the sort of the homeless population
sure.
and the wildness,
Yeah.
black, white, whatever.
Yep.
It's all getting a bit more aggro, but that just
Yeah.
makes sense because there's less. I look at like the rats as a microcosm of it because it's like the rats start eating each other or they're freaking out because there's no food.
Right.
Well, humans, we're not that different, and it's the same sort of thing. Like once they take away all of our resources, we're going to start attacking each other.
And for whatever the reasons are behind it, it's just fucked.
Yeah.
It's just, things are polarized, and I don't want to get in deep. I don't want to get into politics.
Yeah, no,
but,
me neither.
with the fucking
It's
president
boring.
and the this and the that, and God, it's fucked, man.
But what we could do is take this into the blues and the Jews because it's a good segue because one thing that if the whole thing burns down, people do need the blues.
Yeah, well,
Because,
every
and the Jews.
everybody's
Jewish Haifa.
everybody's got their own blues.
Oh,
You grew
fuck.
up in Haifa?
No, I grew up near Beersheba in the south.
Because I was just in Haifa. You know who Laser
I think
Lloyd
he was
is?
saying high five.
I did say high five. Jewish high five, not Haifa.
Haifa, but I heard Haifa. You grew up in Haifa? But yeah, listen, I went over to the Middle East to shoot, and this new film, and we shot a bunch of footage, and we came back, and then this fucking COVID thing hit.
Gave you time to edit.
We've been editing. We've been editing it, and you know what? We shot so much good stuff. I don't think I'm gonna go back.
What'd you shoot it on?
I don't remember.
I'm nerding out on cameras lately.
I'm not on. I don't know. My brother kind of handled that.
You don't nerd out on that.
No, it was like a Sony VX7 7000. Like I don't fucking know, bro.
Yeah.
Probably a Panasonic.
I'm like an emotion guy. I'm like the, I'm like the Bill Graham,
Right.
of the whole thing.
I see.
I'm not a technical
You're
guy.
not technical.
Yeah.
Well, in your movies, you also write the scripts, right?
Yeah, I can write. I write, but I'm not. I've never been a tech guy. I'm not like this camera has the Zeus lens. Like I don't fucking know.
I like nerding out on shit like that.
Yeah, man.
So, but did you what gave you the concept to do like the Jews and the blues, and what was the
I'll tell you,
connection? How'd you make that?
I wanted to do something different. I've done a couple of hardcore films. I just don't. I don't want to be known as like the hardcore guy. He just does the hardcore films.
Right.
I did XXX. I did XXX All Ages, XXX the Boston Hardcore film. Then I did the Alago film and the New York Hardcore Chronicles film, which was such a success. The New York Hardcore Chronicles 1.5 went to Amazon. Then we re-released a Muhammad Ali documentary that my dad did in the 70s.
That's funny. Look at.
Yeah, I saw
That's
that.
the third time Muhammad Ali's come up today.
Right, and our friend sent us a
Crazy.
picture of Chappelle with a Muhammad Ali T-shirt on.
I just wanted to do.
What did your dad do?
Let me finish the Jews and the Blues thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do something a little different,
Right.
know. And this. Do you know who Yorma Kalkinen is?
Yeah, from Hot Tuna.
Yeah. Yorma Kalkinen, you ever hear
Okay,
him? Yeah.
I think so.
So Yorma Kalkinen was a guitar player. He was in Jefferson Airplane.
Okay.
He was in Hot Tuna. I love Hot Tuna. He plays a ragtime blues guitar, very unique, like blind Reverend Gary Davis. Always loved his music and always loved his stuff. And then I found out, and Yorma was like a guy from the 60s and, pretty interesting story. And then someone tells me like, yo, Yorma is fucking like converted to Judaism. And he's like married, converted to Judaism, observing the Sabbath. I'm like, what? I'm like, you kidding me? And then I just got this thing in my head. I got to make a documentary about this guy and call it The Last of the Great Jewish Bluesmen, And it started with that, and we had a sort of a concept for that, and I talked to Yorma, and then I got involved with this band from Israel called Eternal Struggle, a hardcore band. Fucking manager was hawking me to listen to their shit on Facebook. I listened to their shit, and I'm like, he tells me that my friend Mitz from Madball is producing, and I said, well, you know what you really should do is you should fly me over there, and I'll do a little EPK of you guys in the studio in Tel Aviv. He says, all right, they work it out. They fly me over there. I'm with my friend Mitz in the studio.
When you do that, do you bring a camera guy with you?
No.
You do the camera.
Yeah.
So you have some technical
Oh,
geeky
for sure.
vibes going on.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Okay.
The whole Alago film
Yeah.
shot with my camera.
What'd you shoot it with?
Whatever it is, the Sony Scooby Dooby Yabba Dabba, whatever the fuck it is.
The Sony you had the
Sony-
other day outside of Bowery. Yeah,
that's right. That same one.
This one?
No,
No,
not that.
that looks nice. What's
I just
that?
got that at B&H. That's the A6400.
Looks gangster.
It is gangster.
Um,
Anyway.
I'll just say, sorry to interrupt. The Yorma is a huge gear camera geek, by the way.
That's
Really?
funny.
Yeah.
Something about
Huge.
camera gear.
'Cause
Anyway.
I did a session with him at City Winery.
Oh yeah.
And
right.
then he came over to me because he saw I was the cameraman
Yeah.
and just blew my mind.
Really?
He started talking about drones and the Mavic and the
Yeah.
Mavic 2. Before I even knew about those things, he was talking to me about doing video and flying it over the
You
woods.
see
and-
those drones at B&H?
I got a drone.
Really?
Yeah, but I haven't figured it out yet.
Be
I got
careful,
it at the I got it at the beginning of quarantine. I got a map. I got one, but I haven't
Better
used
watch.
it.
You get in
Can
trouble
I
with me.
borrow
Look
it?
at that.
I know. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, hold
Back
on.
to Israel.
Yeah, back to Israel.
So
So you come for the EPK.
So eternal struggle, yo, fly me over there. I fly
Okay.
over there. I connect with these guys. I'm in the studio with them. 2 Madsons mixing it. Does all the heavy shit. We go to Jerusalem. Their manager turns out to be a great guy. He starts connecting me with people, and I come back, and the film starts kind of changing direction. I say, you know what? We should go to Israel and shoot, because I met a couple people there, and there's like these blues guys in Israel.
Right. So
And
it opened it up.
So I go to Israel with my brother.
That's awesome.
And we go big. And we got the film had some funding. We got some funding, and we went over there and really worked hard and shot like I think 8 days.
Wow.
And like really did it up. Shot a lot of stuff. Went to Masada and shot and Laser. We shot Laser Lloyd. We shot Gal Nisman. We shot your boy Ravid, Yemen Blues, and came back and started cutting it, and then we just now it's like all we need. It's really great. Now we need a little New York stuff. We need a little this, a little of that.
Did you get David Broza? I mean, he's not so bluesy, I guess, but
he's an icon.
He's an icon.
His name comes up a lot.
he was on the podcast.
He's a good guy.
He's a
He's a friend of
He's a
mine,
great
yeah.
guy.
His name comes up a lot, but it's really he's not really a blues guy.
Right.
No, he's
But he's
an
a
acoustic guitar.
He's an more like a Spanish sort of.
Yeah.
He's definitely
Virtuoso.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
he's a good talker, and he would probably have good stories
and
about
he's a
the
heap,
blues.
and he's a heap. So
Yeah.
we love him.
He's got the Jew thing going.
Right.
But
He's a heap. We love him.
you should expand because
Yeah, like Ehud.
Well, no.
Ehud wrote me like, "Yo, check out Drew's fucking newest concept.
'Cause
I really
a
like
couple-
it." And then he goes, "And not just because I'm Jewish."
no, because listen, I saw your little promo and it was fucking fantastic.
Thank you.
I'll give you that, and it drew me in.
Thank you.
Because
It is
about,
good, I
about
agree.
2 or 3 years ago, I was involved with another project called Jews in Rock and Roll.
Oh.
That somebody was trying to put together, and we did a few interviews.
That's bubbled up a couple times.
Right, so it's like if you just expand it a little, you could
Well,
you
if you
could
think
bring
about
in
the
because
Jew-
blues is very
The
limited.
Jews and Blues is a good title.
Yeah.
Better than Jews
Well,
and rock and roll.
I'm good with titles. I'm a title
Yeah,
guy.
titles are
Who
important.
the fuck is that guy? The Fabulous Journey of Michael Alago.
Yeah, that's a good title.
I'm
Yeah.
big on. I'm big on.
Titles tell a lot.
I'm big on titles, man. And I learned that from doing the street bike films. It's like, who cares what the film's about? What matters was the box. What matters is what the box looks like.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
That
Packaging.
whole bit. So, so the Jews and the Blues is moving along. It's something really different. I want to do fucking something different.
It looks great.
Yeah, it's getting
I was
there.
sold just from that 2.5 minute promo.
But things are weird. Things are weird right now because, like, as a filmmaker, it's like, do we want to finish this film really fast and get it out there? And what? No film festivals, no in-person shit? Or do we want to, like,
right to Amazon.
Dude, but again, I'm going back to like when are people gonna like? I don't know. I would finish it and just do it.
yeah.
But one thing about Jews and blues I never really thought about, but one thing I have thought about is Jews and lyric writing, because I don't know, some of the best ones of all time tend to be Jewish. I find Bob Dylan, Lou Reed.
Right.
Leonard Cohen.
Well,
I mean, like,
Lou's parents
like,
are Hasidic Jews in Jerusalem.
it's like
Yeah.
that. Those are the three. Those are three top tier.
Well, this
Right.
film originally,
You know what I mean?
Originally, these are names that came up in this film. It was
Yeah.
like we were,
Mark Bolan was Jewish too.
Leslie,
Really?
Leslie
I didn't
West.
know that.
Here's a it's a great
Dizzy,
great Jewish band.
Louis Armstrong.
The Jay Giles Band.
Really?
All of them.
Peter Wolf.
Peter Wolf, Jew.
What a cool dude.
Seth Justman, Jew.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. All of them.
That's interesting.
All of them.
Jesse Malin, Jew.
Jesse Malin,
Jesse
Jew.
Malin, he's
David
on
Lee
the
Roth,
list.
Jew.
Jew.
David Lee Roth
David Lee
again.
Roth, Jew.
I mean,
You know.
yeah.
But we were gonna sort of kind
That's
of
funny.
David Bromberg, Jew.
Yeah.
I mean, we were gonna
Well,
kind
with
of
a name like that, it's kind of
Right.
obvious. I don't know. Bromberg versus Lee
Robert
Roth.
Zimmerman, Jew.
Yeah, Bob Dylan. There you go.
So
Yeah.
we were going to go in that direction for a while too. We were talking about kind of going there, but once we went to Israel, it sort of took a different. You can only do so much, man. It's like you want less is more sometimes.
But you go back to the Bible, like wasn't David playing guitar in the Bible?
King
or something?
David?
Yeah. Who was the guitar
King
player?
David had played the harp.
The harp. Okay, so I remember
Oh
something.
yeah, that
like
guy
that.
in your film said that's the
Yeah.
original blues man or
Yeah,
whatever.
Right. Laser
Yeah.
Lloyd. Laser Lloyd's an interesting dude. He's in my film. He was like signed to Atlantic. They were going to, the guy from Springsteen band was going to produce him. He was all ready to go. And he somehow like bumped into some homeless guy who connected him with Shlomo Kalibach, who's like the hippie rabbi. And he walked away from all that and went to Israel and has sort of reinvented himself as he's a great, he sounds like Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's a fucking great guitar player. And he's sort of doing that. So that's what I'm doing now. And I got a few other things cooking. I got the show and, I want to I got a dramatic script that's kicking around a little bit. I got to
Fiction.
Yeah, it's all fiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually based on a true story, but everything is in some regard. But as an artist, I just got to do different shit, man.
Yeah.
I have a short attention span. I got to do different stuff and keep moving.
Yeah. Are you gonna start having guests on your show come like in person, or are you gonna keep it
No.
on? You're gonna keep it in that same
No, I have a win-
format.
I have a
He's
good-
gonna send them to us.
I have
We're
a good
gonna
formula.
Do it in person.
Yeah.
I have a great formula. I don't.
Yeah.
It works. It's working. I mean, it's a little. Sometimes I'm a little frustrated with it because you're sort of at the mercy of other people's ineptitude,
Right.
as far as like
I can't figure out this mic.
Microphone.
I can't.
yeah.
I can't figure out.
I
how
can't
to,
deal with that. I can't deal
follow.
with
I
that.
can't figure out how to follow a link.
Right.
Right.
Well,
fuck, man. Come
Yeah.
on.
Wait. How do I sign
You're dealing
in?
with dinosaurs sometimes. How do you?
but sometimes, but then, listen. I've had some upper deck home runs like Tommy Victor, who plays with Danzig. Tommy Victor from Prong.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a studio. Steve Zing from one of Glenn's boys. And Michael Graves. These guys adjusted to this, and listen. I'm not the first show they're coming on.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of guys that really realize this is what I need to have for me as an artist, as an ability. I need to be able to do these things and look good doing them, and not shut myself off to it. So more and more people are have the facilities to do it properly.
Well, we're like in the beginning. Like I was talking to Ehud. I don't know about maybe right before this whole thing, but if you can stick to this form and build it out, it takes I think a couple 2 or 3 years though of sticking to it. But you can create something very valuable. Like the Joe Rogan thing.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's the gold standard.
That's the gold standard.
Yeah.
But still, he's at the beginning of I feel like there's still the beginning of this whole realm that we're in.
I kind of feel also that this sort of interactive format is what's happening. I feel like podcasts is sort of just audio podcasts. I know there's an audience for them, but I feel like since the pandemic, this sort of interactive thing, like the show I do, and all, is sort of what's the new frontier.
Yeah, for sure.
So in that regard, yeah.
Where do people see the show on your YouTube channel?
My show streams the New York Hardcore Chronicles live.
Yeah.
Streams live on my YouTube channel, Stone Films NYC, and on Facebook on the New York Hardcore Chronicles page. So if you're interested, please go check it out. It's on YouTube, Stone Films NYC, and they're all archived right there. Another thing that I did that was a big win was I started a Patreon page.
Oh, really?
See, all happened simultaneously. Started the show, started the Patreon page, and I have patrons that love the show and understand.
The loyal hardcore fans, man.
But they understand.
The community.
They understand that I work hard at this. This is what I do. It's like some people are plumbers, some people are electricians. This is what I do, and I need your help in order for me to dedicate the hours that it takes in order for me to prep a show and make it great.
Tell me about
You
it.
love the show.
hours it takes.
Yeah, it does.
And so,
Thank you to
so
our
the
patrons, by the way.
The Patreon's been successful.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And how do you go about like getting like? How did you go about building that?
I put the Patreon page together.
Mhm.
I had some help from someone, and I knew a little bit about it before. I knew what it was, and so there's another guy in Philly, a hardcore kid who shoots shows, and he
Joe
was,
Burns.
No, I don't know who that is.
Anyway, yeah.
Shout out Joe
Shout
Burns.
out Joe Burns.
We
It's
love you.
a friend of ours who shoots
He's been
films.
bootlegging shows
in Philly.
since the late 80s.
Yeah.
How long have you two guys known each other?
It's 15 years.
No,
10.
a little longer. Yeah,
Okay.
15, 16.
Long time.
So, yeah, the start the Patreon. I got.
So
some,
you had a friend who helped you. She
helped me
yeah.
get that thing going, and then I just pushed it like a couple shows into it, and if you love the fucking show, don't be a lurker. Fucking get, I'm aggressive. I have a high energy show.
And you say that like, please support like
constantly.
Well,
constantly.
We have it in
Constantly.
front of every episode.
Yeah.
Joe.
I don't know what it is about me. There's part of me that's like cut off to a certain side that I'm.
It's like you don't want to know.
I just don't
Listen,
want to know. I
we've-
want to just be like a creative like person. And
We've
just,
never
like,
had
live
a sponsor.
Live in dreamland of creativity. And
You guys-
No, but we've never
and I
had a
can-
sponsor. We've been
Your
doing
house
it
of
ourselves.
cards is gonna cave in, boys.
We've been doing it ourselves
You
since
think
day
so?
one,
No.
and we're doing it because we love to do
Yeah,
it. You
yeah.
know, it's not.
But we haven't got a sponsor yet.
no. And
But we're doing.
well,
I
you-
think we're doing okay with this. I don't know, but
Well,
we
you're
want,
really fortunate. I mean, you have. I don't know what the deal is with this space.
Yeah.
But
shout out Cafe Bohemia.
yeah. I mean, part of it is the fact that you have this space.
We keep changing. We keep getting different spaces.
different spaces,
Yeah, we've
okay.
had.
But this has been pretty regular now.
Yeah.
This is a good
There,
one.
Mike, who owns the place, just lets me come in whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever
I know, but
need
this
to.
shit is so labor intensive, man.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
come and set
Well,
up the cameras
yeah.
and say that's it.
and then I have to edit it all, and I edit the audio, and I edit the video.
You're
There's
just a glutton for punishment.
every
man.
episode.
My fucking show,
Every
you get on-
episode is at least 6 hours of work.
I'm inspired by you though. I'm gonna I might do a different podcast like this one you're doing.
Come on my show.
Yeah.
Your
I'll
vlog,
knock you
dude,
around.
I will.
is easy.
Yeah, the vlog.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what all this stuff is for. Is me starting my own vlog, so I
A
can set up.
vlog
So
is a
I
video.
could set up
of
my own Patreon and figure out and make some money. Since
Didn't we
Ehud
set
won't-
one up for you?
Ehud won't
Well,
give
tell
me
me
any.
what's going on.
I set one up for myself,
Yeah.
but then I literally
You
set
gave
it up
up?
and I never went back
Oh,
to
this
it.
guy.
So,
But I'm gonna focus now. I'm ready.
so where in Ohio are you from?
Akron.
Akron.
Yeah.
That's where Devo's from, right?
Yeah, and Chrissy
Yeah, I'm
Hine.
gonna interview this motherfucker.
Yeah,
now.
and Chrissy
So,
Hine
go for it.
and the Black Keys.
Right. That's
Yeah.
okay. Was there
A hardcore scene in Ohio.
no fuck
Well,
hardcore?
Kent's-
Fuck hardcore.
Kent State had hardcore stuff.
Right. Was there music in your household growing up? Did you
Not-
grow up in a musical household?
No.
How did music
Not
come into
really.
your How did music come into your life?
I mean, Kiss, I guess.
Here we
yeah.
go again.
Yeah, it was Kiss,
Yeah.
really.
Unbelievable.
Huge
It's
Kiss
unbelievable.
shit.
Yeah, I was into Gene Simmons, and
It's-
that's how I started playing bass, and then it took off from there.
You started playing bass?
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
And
isn't
keyboards.
It? Yeah.
Akron.
Akron, Ohio.
You know, we're trying to get one of the Devo guys on my show because we have this like inside joke. It keeps coming up on the show that early on in Boston, like in '81, when I first shaved my head, and when we had nobody shaved their head back then, but
Yeah.
Marines and psychopaths.
Right.
So these fucking Boston guys, these like fucking, these yahoos, they didn't have a reference point for it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd be walking down the street and, a car would come by and someone would go, hey, fucking Devo. And we'd be like, Devo?
Devo. That's so funny.
We'd be like, Devo?
But would people also call you a racist or anything like that? Like, would you get any of that?
There was a lot of fights. There was
Yeah.
people would just think like, yo, you shave your head, you're looking for trouble.
Right.
So
Like skinheads.
Yeah,
Right? It
yeah.
was-
And
Yeah.
but the Boston mentality would Boston was a very aggressive kind of, put your dukes up kind of place. So we were constantly running into like, a bunch of fucking frat guys.
Yeah.
Like fucking guys stumbling from the frat house. Everyone's always looking for fucking, it's a college town,
And would you fight?
Oh yeah, always,
Yeah.
constantly.
Did you learn how to fight? Did you know any?
Depends, it's fight or flee,
Yeah.
It's like if
If you couldn't win it, you'd run.
You fucking run, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. You run, man. If you
Yeah.
could win it, you fucking you win it,
Yeah.
But so but also I think that part of it is you don't want a long running battle either. It's like you don't want to get into we're at war with the jocks from fucking BU. You know what I mean? Like you sort of don't want that on your head either. You know what I mean? So and people didn't necessarily fuck with us. They just didn't know what to make of us. So the whole hey fucking Devo. So we laugh about that on my show a lot. And then somebody said, hey, I know the guy who manages Devo. I'm like, well, let's get this guy on the show.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Hey,
So,
did like Jesse Malin executive produced the Who the Fuck Is That Guy, didn't he?
oh yeah, he was involved.
He
in
did?
It. Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't
I
know
noticed.
that.
I saw his name
Yeah.
come up. How long have you known him? Since forever? Or?
Well,
Heart attack.
Well, yeah, I didn't really back then we played shows together. We were sort of part of the same scene, but I wasn't really pals with Jesse. I mean, I wasn't not pals with
Right.
him. You know what I'm saying? But like we just didn't really make acquaintance. But looking back now, we were on this bill together, that bill together. And I think really when I started to get to know him is when a friend of mine, Todd Youth,
Yeah.
passed away. Yeah, I was friends
he
with
comes up a lot.
I was friends with Todd, and Todd was in Degeneration at a certain point. And then, Jesse had Coney Island High, and then, more and more. And I've really become somewhat closer with Jesse in probably the past, couple of years.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in doing stuff like being asked to do the Clash thing, and then, I'm doing shows at the A7 and the Alago thing, man. Listen, I'm in gratitude to Jesse when the Alago thing stalled out, which films do. When it stalled out, Jesse stepped up and cut us a little check, and I know he'd be pissed at me for fucking mentioning
Wow.
that, but he really he stepped up and he said, "This is an important story that needs to be told."
Wow.
Those were his words, man.
He's like
He's our patron saint.
He really is, man. He really, it's weird. I don't,
He's a good guy.
You don't want to like blow smoke up somebody, but like shout out Jesse, but like, no, he does. He takes care of the scene. That's why I have a song on my last album called Mayor of the Lower East Side was
Nice.
inspired by him.
Cool.
Just like, watching him operate around the the East Village and the clubs and everything. And yeah, my heart goes out to him right now too, just because of
because
all the work he put into all that stuff, and then what's going on here. And when I say I feel like it's going to take a rebellion in some ways, I'm kind of like trying to say that message to him.
Well, he hasn't. It's. I guess there's a common thread here, and it almost goes back to the Cosmo Vinyl Clash story. These people should be in our show,
Right?
He didn't because Cosmo didn't forget really what the life's blood of this thing is,
Right.
And it's the same thing with Jesse. Jesse grew up as a hardcore kid. He played Maxes, he played CBGBs, and he never forgot, what it was like to be an underage kid and how much music meant to him.
Yeah.
And that's why he is the patron saint of our A7 shows.
Yeah.
And when people when things sort of got a little unbalanced because there was a lot of younger kids showing up,
Yeah.
Jesse said that's okay. That's okay, because he remembered what it was like to be a young kid and to be able to have the outlet of music, and that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, man.
And you're like, were you connected with the Cro-Mags too the whole time, like John Joseph and And were you in Harley? Those guys both have been on this podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I
Probably the only podcast that had both of them.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I steer clear of the Cro-Mag stuff.
Yeah.
Like I steer clear of it.
I tried to too.
Yeah.
Like
They're both fascinating people with
Absolutely.
stories
John
to tell.
Joseph
Absolutely.
came on, and then Ehud booked Harley, and I was like, wait, aren't we?
Listen,
And then-
to
and
me,
then-
and you would know. And what I loved about your movie that sent me back to Harley is those pictures of Alago as a young kid in Max's.
Yeah.
I saw, okay, that's the, like every single photo in your Hardcore Chronicles, Harley's in there as a kid somewhere sitting in with everything, and that to me was Alago. They were like the same. I saw very similarities.
There's no
Ground Zero, they're Patient Zero, both of those guys.
There's no. I have nothing but respect for Harley and his history and history in New York hardcore and what he's done musically. He's an incredibly talented, gifted musician.
Yeah.
I respect John's hustle.
Yeah.
You know, John's got an incredible hustle, and I respect that.
them both too.
I just don't want to be in the middle
No,
of
me neither.
Cro-Mag's drama.
I don't
all
either,
that.
and that and I didn't
And
mean
it's
to,
different
and I didn't mean to put you in that at all. I guess, but I am. It is a curiosity, and I kind of got swept into it a little bit because he booked Harley, which I'm glad because I was glad to meet
Listen,
Harley.
he is
Harley's super
fascinating
interesting.
guy.
Yeah.
And,
How
and
can you
shout
tell
out
a
to Harley.
hardcore story without
But then-
having him
yeah.
on? How?
He was in my film.
You can't.
Yeah.
He was in my film.
You can't.
Yeah.
He had
It's
to be in my
like,
film.
yeah.
John's in my film. You know, but you know, with what I'm doing,
I didn't see Jimmy G in there.
Jimmy G's in
He's
there.
in
at the
there?
end. Yeah.
At the
So
end.
what,
Okay.
what you're doing? What were you gonna say?
With what I'm doing with my show,
Yeah.
I really hell bent on no politics,
Right.
and I just don't want it to get into like that fucking drama, because what happens with the hardcore thing is you got a lot of people, like especially in Europe, that are just fascinated with the drama, and like
Yeah.
I'm here in New York and I'm living it.
Yeah.
So I don't really, I'm not falling into that. Like I'm not. This isn't Jerry Springer. You know,
Yeah,
I'm not doing
no.
the fucking Jerry Springer show.
I feel you on that. The only thing with the politics thing is I agree with you. It's like dull at this point, but at the same time, if you do like that, they kind of backed us into a corner where if you want to say like, hey, I really feel like we should open back up, and I feel like at this point the mask thing seems a bit like overblown, blah blah blah. Suddenly that is a political thing to say. And so I think those things, and to me they don't seem like political statements. And so do I like, but they are.
Listen,
and then so it's like, do I just shut the fuck up? You know, I played a show in Jersey on Saturday
At Drew's
at,
house.
at Drew's house.
Different, Drew.
And
oh,
afterwards,
I know this place. That's
Yeah.
the guy who does like the private parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesse's done it too.
Shout out
Jesse's
Drew
done
Ekman.
it a million times.
Yeah, Jesse's doing it like next week.
I've heard about this guy. What's
great
yeah,
guy.
what's the story?
Great guy.
Does house
And
concerts.
it does house concerts, and he did one, and it was an outdoor concert, so it's like live music returning. I'm doing another one in another area in Jersey this coming up Saturday.
You play solo acoustic?
Solo acoustic, I do. And actually, he said, "Oh, too bad you don't bring a band because you could play in my backyard." I'm like, "Dude, what are you talking about? You could play a festival with an acoustic guitar." And he goes, "I guess you can." So he let me come. But then, long story short, so because I like make Instagram videos where I like say some of these things about like, "Hey, shouldn't we open back up? What the fuck?" Blah blah blah. And then he goes, "Yeah, man, a couple people wouldn't come to your show because of, like they said that they thought things you were expressing on Instagram aren't really that
Listen,
cool."
on your show,
And I was like,
on your fucking show, I pretty much just said, "Yeah, I'm afraid there's going to be a race war." Basically,
That's okay.
I would never say that on my show.
If you watch
you
the,
you wouldn't?
if you
No.
watch the episode with Jimmy G, he said a lot worse
well, Jimmy,
things.
Jimmy G's Jimmy G.
Well, but yeah,
We don't censor.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, I guess
It's okay. I don't regret.
Yeah.
I don't regret saying it, but it's just, you know, I just decided
you don't want to say anything that's even on those lines.
I want to keep it music.
right.
What started with my
Well, that's
show.
what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. What my show was created as a response to the news and the COVID and the bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
An outlet. Turn that off. Let's talk about music. So
Mm-hmm.
my show was created and found a fan base, a good fan base, because we don't deal with that
Nice.
shit.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting more and more on that. Like, I don't know. Part of me, it depends. Like,
This
you
guy.
can jazz yourself up on
This
YouTube clips, and you can get all amped up and go, I want to say my piece now, too.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
you know what I mean?
I've thought about, like, you know what? I'm going to do a show called, I'm going to do an episode called The political episode.
Yeah.
And just be like, it's fucked up. There's going to be a race war. Fuck all the homeless in my neighborhood. You know, it's just what.
Yeah. That'll be the clip Ehud uses to just that little bit to promote you.
Listen, and I don't mean that. I don't mean fuck all the homeless in my neighborhood, but my neighborhood is just out of control now.
Yeah.
Man.
So was Tribeca. I lived in Tribeca, and it got a little aggressive for a moment, and
Yeah. No, I believe that.
because just like everyone else, nobody was around to give them money or food, and it's just
You got to figure there's an ebb and a flow to this stuff. And once we get this fucking mayor out, who I just can't fucking stand.
Does
this
anyone
guy.
like him? No one likes him.
Well, somebody does. He got fucking reelected a second time because
Never again.
because nobody else
Is there a
fucking
term
running.
on mayors, or does mayors can go as long?
Oh,
as
there
they
was a
want?
term on mayors, and Bloomberg changed it so he could run a third time, and then he changed it back to 2.
Thank God.
Can you believe that? I changed the term limit so he could run, and then
Yeah.
changed it back before he was out of office.
That's weird. I didn't
No,
know
you know what
that.
this? You know what? What New York is going to need? If you ask me, what New York needs, I hate to say this.
Another Giuliani.
Thank you. His son is
I
talking about
said
running.
It absolutely does.
Just as long as it's not actual Giuliani.
His son is talking about running for mayor.
I don't.
Yeah.
Giuliani's son.
I'm
Yeah.
so out
And
of
I
New
don't
York
mean that like,
politics.
and I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat.
No, but
I just,
but it's like obvious that this isn't working. Let's
a
put
mess.
it that way. It's obvious that
a
this
mess.
mode is not working. Certain cities,
But it wasn't working with
certain
him
cities
before
are-
this. With De Blasio.
All right, let's veer off.
yeah, we went back into this black hole. Of,
yeah,
Hey, I have a different question.
Yeah, let's go
Yeah,
somewhere
about
else.
about before we wrap up.
All right.
Yeah.
When you were doing films and you were starting with the music video, why were you never filming the hardcore shows? Like, there's not this. Whenever you look for hardcore, it's so hard to find good footage of shows. Why were
Well,
you not
listen,
filming in CBGB's back then?
Listen, I'm a guy that has a lot of regrets.
Yeah.
I like having regrets.
Right,
I
right.
feel like they're healthy.
Yeah.
You know, like
It's
people,
realistic.
I like it.
I got some fucking regrets
I-
too, dude.
I enjoy-
I'm with you on that. I definitely. I'm not one of these. No regrets here.
You know, like
Fuck off, dude. Really, no regrets. Okay, go fuck
I
yourself.
embrace my regrets.
Yeah,
You know,
is
like-
that one of them?
Well, I did. Certainly looking back now, I wish I documented more.
Yeah.
I documented a lot. I
Right.
did shoot some stuff, but now it's interesting in the time we live in. Anybody you documented any of that stuff, it's gold. Now.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know.
It is.
It's like
Well, it's part of what I want to do now. Is just like, I'm so drawn into that whole
Yeah.
realm of filming and vlogging and all that. I think
even my uncle, who was an editor. He was a film editor. He worked on The Hustler with Paul Newman and a couple other things. And
Really?
had a yeah. My uncle
that's
Rich.
a great one.
Yeah, my uncle Richie. He, when we were growing up, he always had like a Super 8 camera, and he shot tons and tons of stuff.
That's no sound, right?
There's no sound. And recently, a couple years ago, he transferred it all to disc and gave me a bunch of discs. Now I'm looking at this shit, and it's like, wow. I'm like transferring it because it's like I could probably use it as stock footage.
Yeah.
It's all of us in amusement parks, and this stuff just looks so great.
Right.
It's like it's history.
You can't
You can't
duplicate
replace
it.
You can't. It's history. It's like, and I don't mean it's just. I don't mean on a personal level. It's my history.
It's everybody's history.
It's everybody's history. It's
Yeah.
Americana.
Mm-hmm.
It's Americana. So of course, yes, I regret. But back then, it was hard.
It was
Be-
hard.
It was
yeah,
hard
you need
because
a big old VHS thing with like a VCR on your shoulder.
I borrowed my.
Was there
dad's-
nothing small back then? It was
Nothing,
all
bro.
huge.
Dude.
It was a camera with a separate recording thing.
Yeah.
I'm talking 1983
Yeah.
with a
Really?
separate deck, and the gear was expensive. Now my dad was a film director and had a production company, and they had it, and I borrowed it, and I shot a couple of things.
Yeah.
But in retrospect,
You
I-
would've
I-
shot more.
I wish I would have shot more.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish I would have shot more, and I wish I would have. I wish if I could go back with a camera, I would just walk around New York and take pictures and just
Yeah.
because the guys like Matt Weber.
But that's why we should do it now. And we're still young because we know what we know now.
We're documenting.
No, but I mean
everybody
even more.
has cameras now. It's a little bit different.
Little different.
Matt Weber was a cab driver. For a friend of mine Upper West Side, drove a cab and as a hobby took pictures.
Nice.
All his pictures are out. All his pictures, he has books. But what I don't have the conscience to do is guys like Matt Weber who would take pictures of storefronts, streets, shit like that. I wouldn't even think to shoot this shit.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't. He just subway sign,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And now this stuff is like 42nd Street, like.
It's dope.
I don't think in those terms,
Yeah.
especially as a young man. I never thought in those
There's
terms.
that guy in your documentary that took all the hardcore the kids outside the club. The guy in Florida.
Oh yeah, Randall Underwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got
He did
this
the same thing.
incredible archive. He just because it's one thing to go and shoot bands. It's another thing to go shoot lifestyle. You know, like a lot of people go and just. I know a couple photographers. This Greg Smith is one of them. Who I have his archive now. It's all bands on stage. Didn't shoot anything but was going on stage.
No crowd
Randall
shots.
Underwood shot everyone hanging out in front of CBGB's, fixing the flat tire, eating the fucking pizza, and it's all this great lifestyle stuff. And like. Who would think to shoot that back then? So that's great. That's great stuff. You know,
What was Apartment X? That was the other.
it was a squat. It was a squat that they had. It wasn't a squat. It was a place where a bunch of hardcore guys lived. I never lived in a squat. I was like, fuck this. I never had to live in a squat.
But yeah, like where we started this whole podcast was your dad and Mel Brooks.
Right.
Yeah,
and we
let's-
never finished that.
Okay, we're back.
So that'll be the bookend. Because we've been going for like an hour and 45 minutes, haven't we?
Yeah.
So
Damn, dude.
so my dad.
That's been a
We
great
gotta wrap it up.
conversation.
Yeah, it has been.
My dad, in 1963 or 64, they did a animated short film called The Critic with Mel Brooks.
Uh-huh.
Look it up on YouTube. The Critic.
I'm gonna look
The
it up.
Critic.
And
Mel
I'm gonna
Brooks.
I'm gonna watch your fucking show and get inspired.
It's a classic. The Critic is a classic.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
I had a T-shirt with that one, and the
you
animated
might
one.
see it and be like, "Oh, this."
Yeah.
I mean, and it won Best Short Film in 1963. So, you want to hear the great Mel Brooks story?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Go out on Mel Brooks.
I'll go.
Let's do it.
Love him.
So I'm with my dad, and I'm a kid, right? And, you know, you're with your dad, you know, and I'm with my dad, and we're at a place called the Friars Club here in New York. It was like, you know, it's like kind of a place where writers and film business people would get together. So, and there was like a dining room, and I'm with my dad, and I'm like 9, 10 years old, and I hear my dad mutter, "Oh shit." I'll go, "Oh fuck, there's Mel," like that. And I look and I see this guy from across the room see my dad, and he starts coming our way, and he shows up and he says to my dad, he says, he launches into this whole like stage act. "Arnie Stone, you schmuck, are you still doing commercials?" and he launches into this whole thing, and I'm like a little kid, and I'm looking like,
Arnie Stone, you schmuck.
what's this guy? Who is this guy? And why is he, you know, being mean to my dad? You know, and so he gets like the Friars Club. He like gets an audience. Everyone's laughing, ha ha ha, and it's just like it's showtime. And he's just berating my dad in front of like this whole. And but you know that's he was a funny guy, and
That's funny.
they won an Oscar for it. And
That's
my
funny.
dad tells the great story about how they didn't even go to the ceremony. They thought, no way.
Right.
My dad was like home, you know, where we were living, you know, and they won.
That's so funny.
They didn't even go. They were like, forget it.
Yeah.
No way.
That's fucking funny.
And they won.
Dude, you got such a huge history in New York City.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
I'm also a licensed New York City tour guide.
Really?
Yeah.
There
You and
go.
John Joseph have that
Yeah,
in
that's
common.
right. We do.
Fear City.
Yeah.
He
We
does.
do.
That's cool.
My tour's a little bit different than his. I do a cinematic and music walking tour.
Wow.
Like heavy on film, and I show film clips. Like here we are standing right here, and I'll show.
What are some of the great spots in New York?
Well, in what my tour does, it starts out in Times Square. Rich in cinematic history and music history. The Brill Building. The Winter Garden Theater, Beatlemania, and all that. And I show that clip from the opening of Vanilla Sky with Tom Cruise when it's empty, where Times Square is empty, and he comes. So we're standing right where the camera is, and I show that to people. And then from there, we go up. We go up to the Dakota, which is a place that's incredibly rich in history. And I walked past the Dakota probably an hour before Lennon was shot, because I went to high school there for a while, and so I was kind of like right there. And
G.E. Smith told me a story about being at the Dakota because I have this song called "The Movies." I'm just one of my new songs, and it references Bogart and Bacall.
Well, they lived in the Dakota.
He told me a story about like when G.E. Smith and Gilda Radner got married.
G.E. Smith was married to Gilda Radner?
I think so.
Yeah,
No, Gene Wilder was married to Gilda Radner.
No,
They
G.E.
probably
was
both
too.
were.
No way, man.
Wait, G.E. Smith.
Oh no, not Gilda.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, he was with her. She brought
No, I
him
gotta
into
Google it.
Saturday Night
G.E.
Live.
Smith.
Yeah, she brought him into the
All
band.
right, come on.
Look
it up.
He was on the podcast. He
I'm
told
looking
that
it up.
story.
Yeah, Gilda Radner comes right up.
He told that story.
Yeah, G.E. Smith. G.E. Smith.
No, she was married
Was married to Gilda Radner, 1980 to 82.
before she was married to Gene Wilder.
No, she would have had to been married to Gene Wilder before that.
No, she passed away when
Gene
she was
Wilder
married
romance.
to Gene Wilder.
Okay, so before, I guess. So anyway.
Wow,
So
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That Gilda Radner was married to G.
So
Smith.
then
G. Smith, guitar player for Hall & Oates.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and he's recorded on my new album.
Super
Oh,
nice guy. Super, like
I mean,
the
Gene,
nicest.
amazing,
Great.
amazing guy.
Master of the Telecaster.
But he said so. Yeah. So he said.
Hold
that
on, Gene Wilder, 1984 to 1989. So
Yeah.
yeah, G.E. Smith was married to her before.
Yeah.
So Lauren Bacall walks up to G.E. Smith and Gilda Radner, holds their faces together, and just goes, "This'll never work."
Really?
In the Dakota, yeah.
Well, the Dakota,
You
bar.
didn't say that on the podcast.
No, but he told me that story while we were recording.
That's
after we were
crazy.
recording the movies, I was like,
Crazy.
so it's like funny that you write a song and you reference Lauren Bacall in 2020,
Yeah.
and then you wind up playing with somebody who knew Lauren Bacall and has a story.
about
Well, Dakota's rich
Like
in
that's
history.
pretty funny.
What movie
Yeah.
history is
What
that?
else?
Just from them living there. That's the,
Excuse me, Rosemary's Baby.
Right.
That's
yeah.
the Dakota.
That's
Where
wild.
John Lennon was shot in,
Well,
in
that's
the
not
in
movie,
the
but yeah.
vestibule.
What do you think about that? Like when certain little areas create these magical moments over and over again, like A7, and it's still like something, or like
Yeah.
even fucking Brownies, which is now Coney Island Baby, or blah blah blah, like that. You know, there's so much
Dakota,
history there.
yeah.
The Dakota.
Yeah, Dakota. You know why it's called the Dakota, right?
Why?
They didn't name it the Dakota. It's when they built it, it was so far uptown, it's in the middle of nowhere, it might as well be in Dakota.
Really?
Really?
The building was not called the Dakota.
That's funny.
It was because it was in the middle of nowhere. If you look
Wow.
at the early photos of the
Yeah,
of
New
the
York was
building,
all downtown.
There's nothing there. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
So they said it might as well be in Dakota.
Wow.
So my
That's
tour goes Dakota. It goes into Central Park, Strawberry Fields, rich in history.
Yeah.
The Bethesda Fountain, where I shot the Typo Negative video.
Favorite fucking statue in
Where
the
I
city.
shot the Typo Negative Black #1 video, where I worked on the Samantha Fox I Just Want to Have Some Fun video.
Wow.
Where the Naumburg
I
band.
used to love her.
I want to have some fun. I worked on that.
Yeah.
And,
Everyone had posters of her.
the
Oh, man.
Naumburg.
Even in Israel, everyone had posters of fucking Samantha Fox in their bedroom.
I saw her recently. I was like, I worked on I Just Want to Have Some Fun. She's like, no way.
That's funny.
Naumburg Bandshell, rich in history. You know, John Lennon's eulogy. Martin Luther King spoke there. Sheep's Meadow, and then West Side Story, the whole thing there in Lincoln Center, because West Side Story was shot there. They tore all those buildings. Then downtown we go 8th Street. We walk down 8th Street. We do Electric Lady Studio, Jimi Hendrix.
Mm-hmm.
And then we go into Washington Square Park, rich in history. Astor Place,
Lou Reed, St. Mark's,
down
yeah.
St. Mark's, make a right onto the old Jewish Rialto there, where all the old Yiddish theaters were. You know, the Players Theater's still there, where Stomp is.
Yeah.
B&H Dairy, the old.
I love B&H Dairy.
Yeah.
And B&H
Down
beards
to cats.
Well, no, and then the old Fillmore East. Then we turn up the street there where Mother's Film Stage used to be, where we did Cyndi Lauper, I Just Want to Have Some Fun. I tie that in.
Where's that one?
Mother's was a film stage on 5th Street.
That's where you did Cyndi Lauper? Okay.
Fifth and what?
5th between 2nd and 3rd. Yeah. It's like a condo now. The building's still there.
Yeah.
Originally, it was Beethoven Hall. Look, you know, I know we're veering off here, but originally it was Beethoven Hall. It was early that neighborhood in the Lower East Side was a heavy German immigrant population.
Yeah.
The Slocum disaster, the paddle boat that caught fire in the East River was a landmark. Killed a lot of people, and from that neighborhood. And after that, a lot of the German population moved out. It was a catering hall called Beethoven Hall. It's still there on the wrought iron fence in the front. It says BH Beethoven
Really?
Hall. It was reborn as a film stage. My dad used to shoot there a lot. I worked there a lot when I was a PA. Eventually, now it's like a condo. But when Girls Just Want to Have Fun was shot in there, and I worked on a bunch of other stuff there, and that's part of my tour. Then we make the turn, and we do Great Gildersleeves, Bowery Electric, Joy Ramone Place, and we end up at John Varvatos, which used to be CBGB's.
That's cool.
So no
Yeah.
Cat's Deli.
So where do people go? Where do people get information on that? The tour,
Real New York tours.
Real New York tours.
Yeah, real
Nice.
New York tours. And I love doing it, man.
Yeah.
I just love it. I love it, man. I'd be doing that full time if I could. I enjoy it because I'm out and I'm walking around and I'm in the streets and
it's like a show,
and yeah, and it is.
and you connect.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
people that come to New York are excited to do it,
Yeah.
and they're excited to do it with a real New Yorker.
Yeah.
Any Lou Reed
Yeah.
stories in your tour?
No,
No. Okay.
I don't have any Lou Reed stories. No.
All right, cats.
All right.
Drew, thank you so
Stone.
much, man.
Well, that was fun, man.
That was a lot of fun.
That went fast.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
about 2 hours almost.
Yeah.
Is
Almost
that
at the
usually,
2
is that
hour
usually
mark.
what the show
No,
goes?
not that
Actually,
long.
no,
Usually an
actually
hour and
it
a
is.
Listen,
half.
you can edit it down,
No,
bro.
No, we won't edit it down.
Take out
No,
the
dude,
part.
the
Take out
last-
the part where I'm talking about the race war and stuff.
Yeah, take out the Cro-Mag part there. I don't want any
That
heat.
he,
I don't want any heat with that.
Well,
All
thanks
right.
for having me.
God
man.
bless,
And,
Drew.
and, and I
Thank
just
you.
want to say, everybody else, you want to check out my show, the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. It is Stone Films NYC on YouTube or on the New York Hardcore Chronicles page. And check me out at www.stonefilmsnyc.com. And thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks
Thank you,
for
everyone.
coming, Drew. Bye.
Bye. All right.
Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.